Well, good morning, rather, and thank you for joining me for your 11 a.m. news and weather update. I'm Bailey Bockover. I was just taking a look outside where it's looking pretty gloomy out there. Meteorologist Russell James will be joining us very soon to go over the possible impacts that we'll be seeing from Hurricane Erin running off of our coast. Still a couple 100 miles away, but still could see those impacts along the coast, whereas here we might just, a little more inland, we might just see some breezier days. But I do want to dive into those mandatory evacuations. The NCDOT is now saying now is your chance to evacuate the Outer Banks with Highway 12 before Erin brings those impacts. If you're still out there, officials say today is the day to evacuate. They could shut down major roads. Highway 12 is still open and passable after it only experienced minor ocean trickle at Buxton and on the north end of Ocracoke Island during this morning's high tide. However, NCDOT officials say it is possible Erin will cause significant impacts on the roadway beginning during tonight's high tide and worsening through Friday. Because the impacts could close NC 12 for several days, DOT officials are warning visitors and residents to use this opportunity to follow Dare and Hyde County's mandatory evacuation orders and leave the islands before impacts are felt. Officials are asking drivers to be cautious and patient with the evacuations. It's one where residents had till 6 a.m. this morning to sort of get out of there. I know traffic could get a little congested, so make sure you're just giving yourself patience and giving yourself lots of time to evacuate if you are choosing to do so, which you should because it is mandatory. But now let's dive into a woman who was arrested out of Kinston. Police arrested Monica Lowry after they say she was going around Carver Court area around 10:15 p.m. yesterday for a report of banging on doors and stating that she was looking for someone to shoot. Police say they spoke with a resident who gave them a detailed description of the woman. Officers then saw a woman identified as 45-year-old Monica Lowry who matched the resident's description and approached her. When officers tried to detain her, they say she resisted arrest and was not complying with their commands. Officers say they were then able to safely take her into custody. While police were arresting Lowry, they said they found a concealed gun in her bag. She was taken to the Lenore County Jail and charged with carrying a concealed gun and resisting a public officer. Lowry is facing a $1,500 bond. And out of Wilson, a man was charged with murder in a deadly Wilson shooting. Anthony Atkinson is facing murder charges after shooting that killed a man. Wilson police say they were called to the 3700 block of Chase Road for a gunshot call around 6:30 p.m. yesterday. When they got to the area, officers say they found 34-year-old Daryl Barnes III dead. This morning, police say they arrested and charged 25-year-old Anthony Atkinson in the deadly shooting. Atkinson is facing 1 count of murder and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon. Atkinson was taken to the Wilson County Jail without bond. And once again, Russell James will be over momentarily to talk about the type of impacts that we could see from Hurricane Erin moving along our coast. Today is going to be one of those first days where we really feel those impacts. For now, before he gets here, the City of Greendale and the NCDOT hosted a joint town hall on the $61.7 million Allen Road widening project. And you're thinking more construction. Most definitely, that is exactly what we're going to be seeing. Well, the project will widen approximately 2.3 miles of Allen Road from 2 lanes to a 4-lane. And we just got breaking news that double red flags are now flying at Pine Knoll shores. So double red flags meaning do not go into the water. The water is completely closed off limits, either due to a lack of lifeguards or high dangerous rip currents. So not necessarily something that you want to put yourself in, especially if there's no one there to help you. Just a recipe for disaster, very dangerous there. Moving back onto our Allen Road project. Allen Road is one road residents say can get very busy during rush hour. It's a project NCDOT leaders say will improve safety, reduce traffic congestion, and enhance mobility for drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. In addition to the new road, the project will also create 2 sidewalks on opposite sides for pedestrians and a 5-foot wide bicycle lane. It will also add a stoplight on Briarcliff Drive. A project engineer with the NCDOT said it was going to increase the capacity along the road by adding a lane in each direction. So now let's head to more of that breaking news. I have the story pulled up here that we just released. One Crystal Coast beach is flying double red flags, telling people to stay out of the water, like previously just mentioned. Pine Knoll Shores police say their beach is closed for swimming. Again, this is ahead of Hurricane Erin impact set to impact our coast later today. Other Crystal Coast beaches are flying single red flags. Emerald Isle officials say they've also taken down the lifeguard towers on the beach due to storm surge along the coastline that could knock them down. Instead, lifeguards will be patrolling the beach where passage is allowed. Guards will also be positioned at the beach ramps, and response will be by the roadways during high tide. Atlantic Beach has also taken down or pulled back its lifeguard towers. Once again, that's due to that storm surge that we could be seeing. We have First Alert meteorologist Russell James here with us. Perfect timing. Russell, we were just talking about, I promise he is here. He's just getting set up. We were just talking about those double red flags that are now being flown at Pine Knoll Shores, whereas some other beaches still have single red flags. What are we seeing along the coast near Pine Knoll Shores that you believe is causing that uptick in staying out of the water?
We're definitely seeing an increase, for one, in the high surf right now off the coast. Generally waves at around 6 to about 7 feet or so. Another thing too is that we're definitely seeing those longshore currents becoming more and more frequent, leading to higher rip currents. And then also, given the fact that we've seen yesterday across several spots, especially around the lower Cape Fear region, around Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach, we had a lot of water rescues, and essentially you don't want to make the same mistake twice. So it's better to be safe and close the beaches rather than, wait till the last second or wait till, something unfortunate happens. And, while that will be the case over the coming days in terms of rip currents and high surf, one thing that has definitely changed over the last 24 hours is the presentation of Hurricane Erin on satellite and also the winds. We are now sitting at 105 miles an hour. That makes it a Cat 2 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Pressure has risen now to 961 millibars. The movement is now towards the northwest at 9 miles an hour. So here's the things that have changed a lot since Erin. Winds have decreased, pressure has increased. This is an inverse relationship. The higher the pressure, the weaker the storm, the lower the winds. The movement has also increased as well. So as it continues to move towards the north and west, it's going to be encountering a lot of wind shear in the system as well. A lot of drier air and northwesterly winds blowing the thunderstorms to the south and the east. That's why Erin doesn't look quite as healthy as it did the past couple of days. And essentially, it's going to be moving into that strong wind shear as we head over the next 12 hours or so. So the National Hurricane Center keeping Erin at least as a Cat 2 for the rest of the way, even going into Thursday morning, having it re-strengthening slightly up to 110 miles an hour. We also have some newly updated tropical storm warnings there. I just noticed that change from the National Hurricane Center. We're going to go into that in just a moment. There, Friday and Saturday, system will begin to weaken as well. So Wednesday into Thursday, inland gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Wind gusts along the Outer Banks. Whether we're dealing with a 110 mile an hour storm, Cat 3 storm or not, the wind gusts still remain unchanged. 50 to 60 miles an hour, 10 to 15 foot waves, beach erosion, highway trouble overwash, high risk rip currents. In other words, long story short, it will be a rough situation for the Outer Banks. And newly updated tropical storm watches have now been upgraded to tropical storm warnings for much of the Crystal Coast and the Outer Banks. The only exception is Currituck County and points north that are still remaining under the tropical storm watch. But now at this point, tropical storm warning means that tropical storm force conditions are likely within the next 36 hours. or so. So again, that's the newest change, and we now have storm surge watches upgraded to a storm surge warning. So that means that storm surge conditions likely within the next 24 to 36 hours, and that's anticipated as Erin moves a little bit closer towards the east. And that is something that we have as sort of breaking weather news right now in the Weather Center. As we get more information throughout the day, eventually we'll start seeing those warnings continue to increase. I wouldn't be surprised if they get expanded a little bit further to the south and the west as well.
And what about that peak time? So you said over the next 36 hours, when do you think we're going to see the worst of it?
Sometime around Wednesday evening, at the earliest, if I had to give you an exact time frame, I would say 5 p.m. Wednesday evening through midday Thursday is when we'll start seeing at least the peak impacts. In terms of coastal flooding and storm surge, still remains unchanged, 2 to 4 foot inundation for the Outer Banks, for the Pamlico Sound, up to 2 feet possibly in some of these spots. Now, the 2 feet part will be more of a worst case scenario. We're looking at 1 to 1.5 feet as well. And we also have coastal flood warnings also issued as for parts of the coast. And then looking at the Crystal Coast down into Onslow County, 1 to 2 foot inundation likely setting up Wednesday night into Thursday. Wave heights still remaining 6 to 10 feet, increasing 11 to 15, close to 20 feet late Wednesday night into early Thursday in the darker and lime greens that you see. Closest approach on Erin between 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday to about 2 p.m. or so. That's when Erin will be making its closest approach to Cape Lookout, to Hatteras, to Rodanthe. It'll begin to make its way off towards the north and the east. As we head into late Thursday evening, we'll have a northwesterly flow established over the east. That's going to allow the waters to somewhat subside over the sounds, and then some of that water could get pushed back over Highway 12 as we head into Thursday and even into Friday. So again, it could be some rough conditions right there along Highway 12. Overwash, again, the biggest concern. What about wind gust potential? Let's take a closer look at that as we head into your Wednesday. Winds increasing around 15 to 25 miles an hour going into Wednesday morning, and then heading into Wednesday evening, that's when we'll start seeing winds sort of increase along the coast, 35 to 40 miles an hour easily for Hatteras and Beaufort. Further inland, we're talking 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts. And then again, Thursday morning, you definitely see those winds in those darker oranges and reds. That puts it well within that 45 to 60 mile per hour range, with hurricane force wind gusts literally missing the Outer Banks roughly by around 150 miles or so. And then from there, Erin will depart towards the north and east, and then the winds will start to decrease. So again, that's stuff that we'll be looking at as we go into the weekend, or rather Wednesday night, Thursday. As for the rest of the tropics, we're watching 2 other systems. One has a 60% chance, the other one has a 30% chance of developing into a named storm within the next few days. Both systems, again, we'll watch closely, but in the short term, as we look at our 8-day forecast, temperatures low to mid 80s, overnight lows 60s, and low 70s.
Looking good. Alrighty. Well, thank you for those updates, Russell. You can join Russell and Merritt Morgan on your News at Noon. You can also join us here on your live stream desk if you can't make it there. We'll be here for you either way at the top of every hour. We'll have more coming up, but for now, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe.